Good afternoon, people. You know what time it is. It's time for Torn in Two for this January 13th, 2023. How you doing? I'm your host, Gregory T. Roberts. Let's bring Pastor Melvin C. Burns in a second. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you this afternoon, brother?
I'm good. We made a choice
Yes,
that we were going to just go at people, not go at people. That is very bad. Let me say it this way. There are issues that are taboo in our community
yes,
that we do not address.
yes,
And what I need you to do is I need you to share this message. Um, Remember, if you would like, you have questions today, you can reach us on WVS LP 103.7 to BWVS Facebook site and 106 Facebook site. We're on YouTube. Of course, people that are listening to on the radio, I need you to also, this is going to come, the next several weeks are going to come with a warning. If you can't handle this particular situation, understandable, but we're going to walk you through this. And what we're going to talk about is being molested. And we're going to look at it every angle. And Pastor Melvin, all I can say is, in talking to the social workers and all the people that I've talked to in the last several days, it's horrendous.
yeah. I can believe it.
Well, let's get right to, I need you to share this because we're going to be addressing issues. We're going to, politics can wait for a while, although we got a bunch of doozy stories. Um,
Yes.
we're going to attack issues that m- hinder our community. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, with that said, today's guest is a great friend of mine. I've known him for years. And then when I went out to Arizona, we touched base out there, and he has a story to tell. And I want you to show compassion, but I, my heart bleeds for my brother, and I really want to thank him for coming out to share his story. Put your hands together for Mr. Brian Davis. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, my brother?
I'm doing well. How's the weather out there?
It's perfect, man.
That
Today it's about 70 degrees right now. It's supposed to peak out at 76 today. So
sounds
I'm
good.
sure it's a lot better than what y'all just experiencing.
Well, I tell you, when I was out there, it was a different story. So,
Oh yeah, it was. It's totally different from when you were out here, man. I know you once you got on that plane and take off, it said, "Okay, he gone now."
I kind of got that feeling, that
It,
I was being treated that way.
it was something like that, man. So I think the sun had something against you.
Brian, I appreciate it. Brian, you have a story that you and I were talking about, and it shook me to my core. And I talked to Pastor Melvin Burns, and I've talked to several people, social workers, psychologists, um, but it starts with you. So let's tell the people a little bit about yourself before we get into your story.
Well, like I said, my name's Brian Davis. Born and raised in Muskegon, 59 years old. Born August 28th, 1963. Same day Martin Luther King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech.
Mhm.
And I'm number nine of ten kids. My mom and dad raised 10 kids in a small house in the 2000 block of Leahy Street. I um, I moved from Muskegon in 2015. I moved to California, where I was there for 5 years, and in 2000, 2001. No, matter of fact, end of about 2019, I
Hmm.
decided to move to Arizona. So I've been here a little over 2 years now.
Pastor
Mhm.
Burns.
Okay. And of course, I know that little house on Lake very well. Spent a few
Oh
hours
yeah,
there.
oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. We spent
Uh,
many a time at each other's houses.
yeah, it's good to see you.
You too, man. You too.
Brad, again, why don't you just go ahead and start and let's get into your story and we'll kind of follow along and probably interrupt you with a few questions of what we think it might be necessary.
Okay. Well, it's more like
Oh, wow.
Boy, just
Could
I'm
not.
sorry.
there you go. There you go.
My alarm went off on my phone, and
That's
Okay.
so
okay.
anyway, it's one story, but basically two parts.
Okay.
First part is I was molested as a child.
Okay.
How old
Um,
were you?
uh, Greg, I really couldn't tell you because I had
Okay.
suppressed it. I had suppressed it so much. Um, I had to be. It was younger than 10. I know.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, the exact time it had to be around mid to late seven, somewhere in the mid to late 70s.
Okay.
Melvin, you might be able to help me with the time. You remember when they built Curtis Carter's them home
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember.
on the corner of Hoyt and Delano?
Yes. Yes.
It was around that time because we used to play. We used to play. It used to be a gas station,
Okay. Yep.
and
Sure.
we used to play in the hole that they dug for the
Mhm.
house.
Yeah. I can't get
So,
it down to a year, but I got you.
okay, yeah, I can't get it to the ears either. But
Yeah.
anyway, I was molested over there where these men from there was a concrete company used to be on Sherman and Getty.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They were there to pour concrete for the basement,
Okay.
and me and some friends of mine, me and one particular friend, I won't mention his name, but we were playing there at the time in the hole when they were filling in,
Mm-hmm.
and him and I were molested by these men that was working on that site.
Okay.
Um, and like I said, I've suppressed it so much that couldn't remember what happened to me, but I could remember what was happening to him.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Wow.
I could see it, but I can't remember what happened to me.
Okay.
And I had completely wiped it out of my mind until one day my dad was I was at my dad's house,
Mm-hmm.
and he called me into the bedroom, and he showed me this obituary, and it was this old white gentleman had passed.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad asked me, "Do I remember him?" And I said, "No, I don't know who he is." And he reminded me of what happened,
Okay.
and evidently he knew who the man was. Because he reminded me of the incident.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that something happened
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
between. I'm thinking that my dad. I don't know what he did. We didn't talk about it because it as they say, it threw me for a loop when he told me that.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it was something that he did to the man,
Mm-hmm.
or there was some kind of prosecution done, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
some kind of punishment for him. But I remember my friend's grandmother coming to my house, she brought him with him, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a discussion, and it was back and forth. I know that about at that time. But as
Hmm.
far as what happened to me, I couldn't remember because I suppressed it for so long.
So Brian, do you remember telling your parents about it?
Melvin, I no, I don't. Like I said, all I remember is the situation where him and his grandmother came over to the
Okay.
house.
Okay.
And like I said, I put it in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it didn't come out until my dad told me about the obituary. And so
Oh,
that raised a lot of questions in me, wondering, how did my dad know what happened? What was the
mm,
consequences? What was the outcome?
okay.
Hmm.
And um, I know I can't use bad language, but I was hoping that my dad had went over there and whipped his ass,
Oh yeah.
when it happened,
Yeah.
So, and that's all I could do, and I couldn't bring myself to ask my dad what happened,
You just couldn't.
and
You didn't.
I think I didn't want to know.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not the end of your story.
Oh no, that's just the beginning. Um, Years after that, I say maybe I can't say how long, but maybe I say maybe towards the end of. Oh no, that incident happened in the early '70s. The second incident happened after that. I say maybe somewhere in between the mid '70s and late '70s.
Okay.
Where I was molested by someone that my family trusted
Okay.
really well.
Hmm.
Someone from my church
Okay.
Mm.
that was a high figure,
Hmm.
and she was well known in the community.
Okay.
And matter of fact, she was my choir director at the church.
Okay.
And and I, oh man,
Take your time.
Yeah. Take your time.
In no way are we gonna rush you.
it really didn't. I had suppressed that also, and it really didn't. It really didn't hit me until I had been doing drugs and everything since the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s,
Hmm.
and it really didn't hit me until I went to Teen Challenge in '91, graduated from the program, and I mean in '92, graduated from the program in '93. But in 2004, I started, I started using drugs again,
Hmm.
and I did what Teen Challenge has, what they call a reentry program,
Hmm.
Yeah.
where anyone that had graduated, if we needed to come back, we could.
Hmm.
And it was the second time that I was there that that things started coming to my mind.
Okay.
God started revealing a lot of stuff, things that I had suppressed for a long time.
Okay.
And anyway, I was gonna take my story to my pastor, so I called and told him I needed to talk to him, and I
Okay.
made an appointment to see him.
Mm.
And when I went there, um, I brought it up to him, and that's far as I got because he stopped me right there. He basically cut me off and said, "Hey, look, okay, look, we knew about that. We knew about that. You need to go talk to your mama." And
That's it.
man, that hit me. That hurt me so bad. It was like somebody kicked me in the nuts. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Yeah.
And man, it hurt so bad because I'm like, okay, you knew about it. You knew what happened. So where was the help? Where was the consolation? We gonna this happened to you, so we gonna do something about it. There was none of that, man. And he told me, he said, well, you need to go and talk to your mom. And so he basically put me out of his office, man, because he didn't want to talk about it.
Uh-huh.
So after
And
being put out of his office, were you able to go back to your parents, or did you?
I immediately went to my mom's house
Hmm.
Okay.
and I said, Mom, I need to talk to you.
Hmm.
And I told her what had happened. I asked her, did she know what happened? And she immediately broke down in tears. And she said, well, yes, I knew what had happened. I knew it happened. I didn't know it was happening
Okay.
because my mom was allowing her to come pick me up. My mom was sending me over there basically.
Hmm.
And
Trusting her.
exactly, trusting her. We trusted her with my mom trusted her with her life.
Hmm.
She would use our car and things like that when hers would break down and everything. But my mom told me, she said, well, she told me about, and then there was another young man it happened to after she
Mm-hmm.
um, stopped with me. But the only reason they found out about him was because he had to go to the hospital
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
because of what she had done to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom told me, she said, well, yeah, after that happened, we got together. And then she said, and when that happened to him, she immediately felt that it happened to me, but
Okay.
she could never talk to me about it. She would never bring it up. I think she was just waiting on me to bring it up.
Okay.
And she said what happened is the women of the church got together, all the church mothers and everything, and they brought it to my pastor, and they wanted to ostracize her from the church,
Mm-hmm.
but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't
Really?
do it. Yeah, he said he told my mom what he told him is that they were going to get her help. Said she had a problem and she needed help,
Okay.
but that never materialized.
Never happened.
Nope. And she continued to have her position in the church, continued to direct the choir and everything.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to Houston, Texas. Michael Anthony Smith. You know him. He said, "Wow, sorry to hear this. Your mom was awesome. Say hi to Arthur for me."
Hey, I sure will. Hey, Mike, how you doing? I need those ribs, man.
Yeah. But why he mentioned that, Brian? So you have this conversation with your mother. Tell me how your feelings were. Were you hurt when she kind of knew, or tell me how it played out then, and how it played out with your relationship with your mom?
Well,
Who
it
is
it
awesome?
it
Who was
it,
awesome,
it
by the way?
right. Thank you, man. It didn't affect my relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
At first, I I at first when I first talked to her,
Hmm.
I had this feeling of uh, of rejection for a minute.
Okay.
Mm,
It didn't last long though because um, God just brought it to my mind. She didn't know what was going on,
Hmm.
hmm
and I can see it in her eyes. She felt bad enough right then.
Yes.
She didn't know what was going on, and I believe my mom, um, and it made me know why my mom treated me the way she did. My mom protect me as much as I could. Even to the day she died, I was the one that she would call. I'm the one that she always checked on. If I
Hmm.
needed anything, she would make sure that I got it.
Okay.
Even with
hmm
money, say if I'm okay. Um, she died at 90 years old last year, 2021.
Hmm.
Even before, I'd say maybe a year before that, she would always just say, "Hey, are you all right? You need some money? Anything?" No, Mom, I'm fine. I believe that I wouldn't say it was guilt, but I think that um, she became more protective
Hmm.
of me and my feelings after that.
Okay.
So no, I never held it against her because,
Hmm.
like I say, I know in my heart she didn't know what was going on because I know how my mom is as a protector. She would have never sent me over there,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Now,
and
go ahead. Go ahead.
and knowing my mom probably would have put her hands on
Okay.
her if she knew.
Yeah.
How much did this play fact in your life as you grew older? Because you said that you suppressed it, a lot of this. Did it affect you as you grew older into your adulthood?
Man, yes, it's affected every relationship I've had
Hmm.
since then with a woman.
Hmm.
Um, I had gotten to the point to where um, I wasn't gonna let a woman, I like that saying, I'm gonna get you before you get me.
Mm.
I kind of had that attitude.
Okay.
So I didn't mistreat women, but I always had that, that thing. Well, I'm gonna get you before you get me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more like when if I can say this, when I'm having sex, I would how could I say this? I would go into punishment mode.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I would go into punishment mode and like, here, take this, take that. Um, I did that for a while. And like I said, it affected my relationships
Okay.
from
what
then on.
what is what was your breaking point um to change you from I'm gonna get you, or is that even a battle today that you continue to think about these things that happened in your past?
Well, it's a lot better now. The woman that I'm married to now, man, God, she's a godsend, man.
Okay.
She helped me. She helped me bring out a lot of stuff that
Okay.
was in me that had been suppressed. But it wasn't basically until um, I told her what happened, because she was there was I don't know if it was a body wash or a lotion or something that she was using,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it's like it smelled just like the woman that molested me,
Wow. So
and
it
that
triggered it
it
triggered.
triggered it triggered me big time, man. And then I started looking after that. I started looking for excuses not to make love to my wife and things like that, man.
Wow.
And then I had to talk about it because I had to
Okay.
get it out. And we changed a few things. We changed some of the things that she was using.
Okay.
But for a long time, I still had that in the back of my mind. And it took a while to bring me to the point to where we could make love.
Okay.
Brian, when you and I were talking in Arizona, you could see even today, just a couple weeks ago, how troubling this is on you. Was there ever a time? Because I want you to talk to people that experienced the same thing that you experienced.
Hmm.
Was there ever a time that you felt guilty or you brought it on yourself or any of those things?
She made me feel that way.
Really?
She made me feel that way. She even with my girlfriends, she interfered with relationships that I had when I was still in high school.
Is that
Wait a minute. Okay. So you're saying even after this, she continued to mess with you?
Yeah, this went on until at least um, at least a couple of years before I graduated high school.
mm,
So I
Wow.
say it went from maybe 76 through 78.
mm,
Wow. Pastor Burns.
yeah. And I know you won't have that much time. Brian, again, I'm going with what Greg said for young boys out there today who are thinking, I know what people might say about them. They report it. Why don't you say something to them right now?
All I can say is open your mouth, say something. If you don't feel right, then it's not right. And don't let anybody make you feel guilty about yourself.
Hmm.
Learn the signs. You got to learn the signs. It's not healthy. It's not right for anyone of over the age of 18 to have a relationship with anyone under 15. It's not appropriate. It's not right.
Mhm.
But to the parents, please watch your kids, watch their actions, their body language. They're gonna show it in some kind of way. The way I showed it is I really my social life in high school just dropped. I went through the rest of my high school years almost like a zombie
Mhm.
because I couldn't talk about it. And I just tried to put it in the back of my mind. And during school, the only subject that I could really concentrate and focus on was graphic arts. And
Mhm.
I stayed in there because I even through some of my other classes, I would just go there and be there.
Mhm.
Um, because I didn't want to face anybody at school,
Mm.
you know.
You used a word that keeps coming back up is you suppressed. You in other words, you buried it. You buried it, but even when you suppress it, it's coming out. Talk a little bit
Exactly.
about that.
It still comes out a little bit, you know. It's like when you if you bury any kind of seed, anything like that, it's going to come up. So it's hard to keep it down. It's hard to suppress it because it's going to come out some kind of way. You can act out or you can lash out at people, and that's what I did. I lashed out at a lot of people for no reason. I turned to drugs um, to try to cope with what was going on, and I did that for a long time. And like
Mhm.
I said, it wasn't until I went back to Teen Challenge where I realized why I was doing the things that I was doing because I was trying to keep that hidden. And as long as I was doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, getting high all the time, it just kept things down. It kept my mind off of it. It kept it suppressed,
That's burn.
and it
Um,
caused other problems.
yeah. You went to Teen Challenge, but and I know you mentioned your pastor that you talked to today, but how did it affect how you saw pastors, or was it just that pastor and church in general?
Oh man, it really changed my feelings about him
Mm-hmm.
because he was a person that I looked to for guidance, for
Mm-hmm.
counseling, and for protection.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt that I was let down, by him and by the church.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Burns, I'm going to let you read this question. Brian, we know you're short on time, but people are really interested. Um,
This is
go
what's up
go ahead.
from Paul Allen Billings. He said, Brian Davis, I'm glad we linked up in Phoenix. Your family is my family. I'm deeply hurt about what happened to you. I've been praying for you, my brother. The hashtag MeToo movement left out women abusers. Thanks for opening up about your story. Love you, man.
Love you too, Paul. It's good seeing you too, man.
Yeah,
You gotta come back.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back. And brother, I know that this story goes deeper because I mean, like I said, you and I had a chance to talk and fellowship and stuff like that, and years and years. But you going back to the suppression thing, the guilt thing, the locking up as a zombie. I, take the last because I know you got to leave, but take the last couple minutes to talk to kids or talk to adults that have suppressed, locked up those emotions, and they're all going through it right now. What do they need to do? What should they do? Or they're just locked up and hurt.
Kids, open up to your parents. If something happens to you, somebody touch you in the wrong way, somebody bring up a conversation that you feel is uncomfortable, take it to your parents. And parents, listen to your kids. Pay attention to what they're saying. Sometimes they don't have to open their mouth to say something. You can act. You can if you pay attention to your kids, you'll know in their body language, you'll know in their actions, and almost there's almost in almost every family there's somebody that your parents want you to stay away from, and it's for a reason, and it needs to
Hmm.
be discussed
Mhm.
because I know back in the day they swept a lot of stuff under the rug. It's time to pull that rug off the floor now
Yeah.
Right.
and talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about what happened. Talk about how you feeling before it happened.
Mm.
Yeah.
Talk to the older adult that has buried it and has not dealt with it.
Deal with it. Deal with it. Before you go to the grave, you'll feel a whole lot better, I'm sure. Because I'm sure there's some things in your life that has been affected by the way you were treated as a child. You may not even know that's it, but it'll sure help you to open up and find out.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is going to be the hardest one. What do you say to the person that was molested and they buried it, but what they're doing is because they were hurt, now they're out hurting other kids and young people.
There's a saying that hurt people hurts people, and that's very true. So before you hurt somebody, open up, get it off your chest so you can be a help to somebody else.
Pastor Burns,
Hey,
anything?
Brian, man, we appreciate you being on here and sharing this story. Man, we're going to be definitely praying for you, brother. If you feel like you need to come on here again and talk, we definitely want to have you on here. I was going to ask a question. I know you got to go. Are you involved in any kind of counseling support, or have you found reaching out to other people? I know some of this is new, but this is your first time public. But what do you see yourself going in the future?
Well, I found that first of all, opening up is helping me a lot.
Okay.
Um, I've been to uh, a few counselors,
Hmm.
but they haven't been able to give me the tools that I need to deal with it. So, um, my wife has helped me out a lot.
Okay.
Like I said, she was a godsend. God sent her to me for a reason, and I believe it's to help me out. And she
Mhm.
has done that tremendously.
All
Sharice Davis, I love you, baby.
right.
And I hope you know, coming from my end and Pastor Burns and Paul and all of us, that we got your back, and then anything that we can do. Well, you and I are gonna be in contact,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely.
and I think that it's important that we walk hand in hand in this. You can help me to help others. And
Okay.
we're going to be talking about this very subject, not just for 1 week, but for the next several weeks.
Yes.
So if
Okay.
anything comes to mind, we would love to have you back on the show.
All right. I appreciate that, and I sure will. I'll be glad to come back.
Okay.
Final word to you,
All right.
Brian. Is there anything else you want to say?
I love you, man. Love you,
Man,
Melvin,
Love you too, Brian, man. It's good
and I
seeing you.
appreciate being on here. Thank you for letting me share my story.
Brian Davis, we thank you so much for opening up and sharing your story, and you're going to help somebody today.
For sure.
I hope so. I know I
Take,
will. Thank
yeah,
you.
take care. God
All
bless.
right. Take care, fellas.
All right.
All right, man.
That was Davis from Arizona, one of Muskegon Heights' own. Brian, Melvin,
Yes.
what you got to say?
Man, just first thing come to my heart, man. I've been pastoring almost 20 years. Give me a second, bro.
Take your time. And the reason why people that are really need you to feel our hearts is this is a issue. This is one of the issues that plagues our community, but it's taboo.
Yeah.
And two, what happens is kids that have been hurt, that grow up to hurt other people, that end up in the jail system, you know, in that revolving jail thing or drug thing or whatever, that get caught, they get a scarlet letter put on their
Mhm.
chest, and then they go to prison, they come out of prison, and then but nobody is taking the time to help them from suppressing all the stuff, all the guilt,
Yes.
all the threats. You heard Brian say, not only did this woman molest him, but she went on to bother
Oh,
him
let's see. Yeah.
after she molested him.
Yeah.
And then when he went to somebody that he trusted to talk to, he was basically shunned,
Shut down.
shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So back to you.
Brother, yeah, I said I've been a pastor almost 20 years, and when I hear stories like that, I don't care how prominent the pastor or whatever his title, you ought to be ashamed. The gospel says we're going to stand before God and give account to every person that we were responsible for. When God plays that back in your mind, how do you give an excuse for, well, this person was valuable, this person was needed for my choir or for their offering, and you sacrifice a child like that?
Yeah,
That's ministerial malpractice,
malpractice,
man.
or parents that or people. I would dare say this, and I want your opinion on it. If you're a child, okay, let's say right now, because 1 in 4, according to the CDC,
Yeah,
1 in 4 girls,
yeah,
1 in 4, and boys 1 in 13 has experienced some kind of sexual abuse. And I would dare say that 1 in 13 is probably like 1 in 7.
I found this when I got to be an adult. You know, when you get in your 20s and you expand your friend group and you start, you're having conversations. One of the things that I learned as an adult that I was surprised about how many females I knew that had been sexually assaulted, molested, and the family swept it away. Hush, hush, just keep it quiet. Move him out of town, or he just left town. Uh, you know, and I've shared with that people before is now with a 60-year-old man, my indignation toward it is even more. It's even greater. But then in my 20s, I was just astounded how many people, which as I would talk to people, hear their stories. Um, I was amazed. It said at 1 in 4, uh, brother, we both think that's low.
Right, and being, you've been a pastor and being, minister and stuff like that. Everybody deserves a second chance. I give you an example. I was a mentor to somebody that got out of prison.
Yes.
Um, he was in a situation where he was 18, she was 15.
Hmm.
He went to jail. He went to prison for 11 years. I mentored him for years. He ended up married. He has kids, has a job, um, has a very successful life. Um, but he received the help and the counseling and the mentorship to move on. I
Yeah.
was talking to Louis Churchwell and Cedric Scott. We're going to have those guys on the
Hmm.
show. And we're going to have people from the Hope Project. We're reaching out to the
Hmm.
children. We're reaching out to everybody until we get done talking to this issue. Because it's an issue that is swept under the rug,
Yeah.
especially in our community.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's like almost like rub some dirt on the kid.
You'll be all right. and,
you'll be all right.
and they're not all right.
Not yeah, not all right. And then when you think about it, if you take a story, let's take me, okay? When you take a story when you're 15-year-old, okay, and you're 14, 15, and you end up being in school, but there's a 24-year-old that you end up and you're just thinking, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But that person is taking advantage of you.
exactly. And for boys, when you're 15 to 16 and this adult woman want to do this with you, you know how that was perceived.
Oh yeah, it was like, yeah,
Totally,
I'm the man.
totally wrong. And man, we have to change our mindset about that. I can tell you, people, talk about zero tolerance, and I've dealt with these situations as a pastor. And when I heard, it's like, either you can report it or I can report it, but you got 24 hours. That's all you can do. Um, you know, it's not my job to cover up people's crimes or people's, even to cover up people's sins. It's to help you find a way out of it. The restoration and the forgiveness. We can deal with that part, but there's an accountability that has to take place. And so you want to go right past the, and I don't want to be too pastoral here, but you can't go right to I want the good part of forgiveness and the benefit of doubt. And there's not the acknowledgement of what you've done. And
Mm,
there's the price you got to pay for what you've done. Working with people again who've gotten out of prison, who've going there for criminal sexual conduct issues. And I'm upfront. I said, hey, there's people that are never going to change how they see you. You have to accept that with your life, that no matter how much you change, there's people they're never going to not see you that way. That's just a part of it.
let's talk about how big this issue is. This issue is so big that it going into the prison system. It used to be where if you molested a child, and in some cases it still is that if you did somebody to somebody young, it was you go to into a prison, you're gonna get hurt. Now you go into prison, they have whole separate wings
Yeah, they're
of,
protected.
of guys
Mm-hmm.
that are hurt somebody of a younger age,
Yeah,
and the numbers are outgrowing.
yeah,
Is outgrowing like people. Yeah, we have people going for jail and the other
yeah,
serious cases and the minor cases, but is a thing in our community that is so severe, but
yeah,
is so swept under the rug.
yeah. Everybody's first thought is, well, when they go to prison, I hope somebody do to you what you did to that child. We're humans. That get them back revenge thing. That's our first thought.
High five.
But that doesn't fix anything. That doesn't cause that person to talk about, maybe I was abused and that's what brought me here. That doesn't bring that person to realize the harm they've done. All you've done is have another person inflict pain on another person. Like you said, some of these people have been abused and are generations of people abused.
Can
And
you can you imagine in Brian's case if the very first guy that he went to would have dealt with the problem?
yeah,
How that could have ended, and they could have started working with getting that person, getting him help immediately.
and I don't want to speculate, but he says him and another person. Man, do we really think it was just two?
No.
I mean, let's know the statistics tell us when you stop, it probably wasn't just two. And
Here,
so,
here, here well, here's a fact according to the CDC
mhm,
report, they report that 91% of somebody molested, 91%, 91%, man, it was family members that
Hmm.
knew something was going on. 91%
Hmm.
knew something was going on, but they didn't address the situation.
I don't know if you heard, this growing up or even your family. Stay, like Brian said, stay away from such and such. They didn't always give you the whole story. Stay away from such and such, or he liked to pat on the little girls, or you hear them kind of comment sometime, and you didn't hear the full story. Don't go to such and such house. Oh, we don't let him come up when the kids are, but you didn't get the full story. But again, I've heard so many stories, brothers, of um, family members, relatives, and I told the family they didn't believe me, or they just told him, they threatened him or they beat him, and it didn't fix anything.
So, please say that again.
Beating somebody up, threatening somebody, making somebody move pound doesn't fix anything. You got a child or no that needs to be helped. You got I can't say no. There's a person that's hurting people. Of course, your reaction is I want to hurt them back. That doesn't fix them. That doesn't get them straightened out. You just move them around to what did a whole denomination in this country do? They found out priests were molesting people. They just moved them around.
Just yeah, just move them
And
around.
there, and more than one, I should say, more than one denomination has done that.
Right. And the thing is again, like you said, they knew that something was going on,
Yes.
but yet they didn't do anything.
Here's the thing, and I don't want to be all over the place, but we protect institutions at the sacrifice of people. Man, they rebuilding a statue of Joe Paterno at Penn State, and everything shows us that he knew that his assistant coach was molesting young boys.
They rebuilding it.
They were talking about I don't know if they did, but they were talking about putting the statue back up because he was a great coach.
And how many coaches have we heard about? And how many doctors? Look at MSU, look
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
University of Michigan, look at Penn State. Of
gosh, yeah. But
Are
but
people
you and I
being
both
hurt?
know people whispering it, and they were talking about it. But let's protect the institution and not the people they're supposed to serve.
So I want to make this very clear, and Pastor Burns, I want your feeling about this.
Yes.
We want to deal with this whole issue
Yes.
because the whole entire issue because we want to deal with the person that's being hurt now
Hmm.
and it's not being addressed. We
Yes.
want to deal with the family members that are not doing it, or the people that are in leadership, teachers, police, fire, whatever, social workers that could do something.
Hmm.
Okay. We want to talk to the people that are actually been hurt
Yes.
and are hurting people right now because they suppressed and now they're just replicating what happened to them.
Yeah. I hope between you and I that if people are interested in telling their story, that we can be informed enough and compassionate enough to get people to tell their story.
Let's
Greg, you and I are out there enough that if there's somebody who's molested somebody, you want to tell your part of the story. Um, maybe that'll help some people out there.
and we encourage if you are somebody that's that, and I mean we don't need to show your face,
Yeah.
but we do want to hear your story and how you got to the point and the place, because when you look at molestation,
Yes.
the causes of sexual transmitted disease, physical injuries, mental injuries, depression, drug abuse, alcohol, suicide. Yeah, I mean, I have a list here, and talk. Well, hold on before I go on. Question for you.
A comment from Michael Anthony Smith. He said, "Yeah, they told us who to stay away from." That's right, Michael. Growing up, and for the most part, we did. Because then we try to listen to our parents, but then again, there's the things that were undercover, the things that they didn't know. Because the people that do this again, they get good at covering it up, and appearing, making things look like they're one way when they're another. But man, once a parent or a pastor or a teacher finds out, we had to change the laws and make people, think about it. We had to change the laws and make it where pastors and teachers, once they hear these stories, they have to report it. We had
They
to
must. They
we
must
had to
report
put a
it.
law on the books to force people, when children tell you something where they've been hurt or they've been sexually molested, that you have to report it. Think about it. What's wrong
It's
with us that we had to put a law on the books?
right. It shouldn't be because it's common sense. If somebody comes up to you and say that they've been hurt,
Yes.
let it be investigated and and let the chips fall where they may. But do not. And Pastor Burns, I was even told this, um, being a minister, that such and such keep the young kids away from that person.
Yes.
I've been talking. I've been told that. Look, the National Sexual Hotline, Assault Hotline, is 1-800-656-4673. That's 1-800-656-4673. We are the and look, go ahead, Pastor Burns.
It says survivors and loved ones can access help online. That's online.rainn.org through a chat-based platform on any internet-connected device. You can reach out to people and have immediate text conversations and chat conversations online. And so we hope that if that's you, or if you know somebody that needs this information, please pass it along.
We are in the next couple of weeks are going to have people that are locally that deal with this situation on a daily basis, and where it's counseling
Yes.
or receiving things. It's not going to be a situation where we do one program or torn in two with Pastor Melvin Burns and Greg Roberts. We're going to deal with this issue where it's because people are getting younger. Um, the people that are hurting people are getting more aggressive. You have the internet where anything and everything is going on, and they have a terminology called grooming,
Mm-hmm.
and so people know when they're out there looking for people to molest. And remember, okay, you see this on TV that these people that are online trying to get people, your child or daughter, to come out of the household to molest them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the biggest number of people that are doing it. The biggest number of people, as you heard in Brian's case, was somebody that was known in the family.
Yes.
You, Pastor, you want to address that?
Well, you raised a daughter like I did. You know, um, my daughter, little sports teams and everything. She had to ride with me to drop every young lady off all those teams. I remember this one time she was sick to go to school. I should pick up another young lady, and I said, "You have to ride with me to pick her up. Then I'll bring you back home." I just wanted to keep that specter away from me. And I remember telling her I was shocked growing up. Some parents, she had sleepovers, and I had rules in my house when she had sleepovers. My room. If I'm in my room, I close the door. Only she can come in my room. We had rules for that. But
Right.
just even like impropriety, I said, I don't want any of your friends even describing what my bedroom looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to have these rules and open our eyes. Even people you think you trust. Again, raising a daughter, I can remember having to sit down and have a talk with her, real young. There's me, and there's your uncles, and beyond that, and even if anybody can feel uncomfortable and come to dad and let me know, and It hurt to have it, but you had to.
Right.
And I think about people's parents that didn't do that. Or I can remember young girls that come to the house, and I haven't heard from the parents. I gotta hear from the parents before they come to my house. I'm a single man here, so I gotta talk to somebody first.
Exactly. And the thing with me is, being, coaching both men and young ladies,
Yes,
is that was one of the things that I instilled in them, that, the way that they conduct themselves, things that are accepted, things that are not accepted. And like you said, there shouldn't have to be a law,
yes,
but for common sense thing, when a child is hurt and people, or you see things, you as an adult, you got to recognize those things.
yes.
So, Pastor Melvin, what do we say to somebody that's out there hurting right now? What and listening to Brian in this whole conversation, and you're at your end. You feel guilty, you feel dirty, you feel disrespected, you feel harmed. As a pastor, what do you think they should do?
Open your mouth. Brian said it. Open your mouth and say something. If you have to say it with tears or with screaming or however you have to get it out, open your mouth and say something, and believe that somebody's going to hear you.
Lady J, can you put that number up again where we can, if you, the National Sexual Assault Hotline number is 1-800 656
Hmm.
4673.
Hmm.
And I want to say this, and of course, online.rain.org.
Hmm.
Um, Speak to somebody. The sooner you do, the better. And I do say this: if you go to your parents and your parents don't do something, go to somebody that will.
Yes.
If
Go
you
to
are being if you are being abused, if somebody wants to throw it under the rug, go find somebody that will get it done, because you don't have to go through that. Um, Terry Johnson, good talk, fellas. Terry, we're going to have you on the show as well.
thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So, listen, this is the end of Torn in Two for the day. Listen, we're going to have some heavy conversations for the next several weeks, because there are conversations that continue to be thrown under the rug, and people are hurting. Let's do something about it instead of being divided and talking about what's happening in politics. Let's take care of our local community. Last word to you, Pastor.
Hey, pastors, if you out there, make your church a safe place. Make it your priority. Ask questions. Open up your eyes. Make sure your church is safe for everybody.
Going to Terry Johnson, I agree.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, this is 22 for this 13th. It's a heavy show. It's going to be heavy.
Yes.
Listen, share this with somebody, and listen, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about some heavy issues,
Yes.
and hopefully we'll be able to help somebody. Go sow a seed in somebody's life. You don't know who you might be touching. Go bless somebody this weekend. Take care and God bless.